Hello, my friend. It's good to be with you today. The first day of snow on the mountain this year. But there are other things here that are regular, we would say. They're part of our life. They're ongoing. And the richest and one of the deepest of these is silence. Right now I can hear. I don't know if you can. The snow melting on the roof of my hermitage here is dropping now as melted snow, as water, coming down upon the deck that I stand on. And it wants to be listened to. When we have the gift of silence in our life, we begin to become capable of hearing more, hearing the largeness of life around us and within us. Silence holds. It is not empty. A beautiful image that comes to us, but it's quite frightening, is of the suffering servant in Isaiah. And reading and reflecting on it a bit today, it's one of the places in Scripture where we have a foretaste of Jesus' own journey for us. And it's an entering into darkness and suffering of this servant. Thus, the suffering servant who carries the burdens of the world, your life and mine. And he does that within silence. In fact, the silence is almost frightening for those who are paying attention to this movement of this servant in the world, in the prophecy of Isaiah. But the suffering servant holds silence as a movement. And in the silence of the movement of the heart of the prophet that we know as Jesus Christ in our Christian tradition, everything is held. But we know it's not held in bickering. we get very defensive there, or offensive. It's not held in an assault of conversation. It's not held in the division that unfortunately is in our world, and has been in one way or another whenever we tie ourselves to our ideas, our opinions, or even a beautiful belief that would have me separate myself from you and others. Silence is more than a safe place, but it is that within us and between us and among us. It's not dead. You can talk about dead silence. This is not what I'm speaking of, but the aliveness of a silence that holds you and me now. Our loving God who speaks to us in silence. And what does God say there? Well, excuse me, I find God saying very tender things that are usually without words, that basically mean again, and it's why the word means so much to me, that God is holding me and you. The world here and the whole world is held by this Creator God who loves us and holds us. You and I are still in the month of October and celebrate the person of Francis over and over again, and his sister Claire and their followers, and they were lovers of silence. Here at the mountain we have 4 virtues we think of as particular to us: silence, solitude, simplicity, and certainly service. When they began to rumble around inside of me years ago, I talked about them as sisters of Lady Wisdom. Wisdom, the gift, and the sapienza, the Sophia, the wonderful way of coming to know and learn through our human activity, our living with each other. But in the midst of living, the quiet, the gentle attending to, the listening that asks for being held. Not only the words of the speaker, but the one who is speaking. That which has been spoken before, that is a confluence with the moment we're in, that asks for deep silence in order to listen. Part of what I think is not always present or active in our faith journey, because people like me and others are full of words and we talk about them as if they're the most important thing in the world. This is wonderful quietude that begins to open up to a quality of silence that is a listening that allows us to open up to activity. The suffering servant, we're told by commentators, comes into this place in the world with us and almost despairs. And when we think of all of it and everything going on, maybe in your personal life, certainly in our larger life as a nation and in the world, there are places where we could feel darkness only and bleakness and have no words, nothing to say. And that's an honest place to be. And in the silence of the suffering servant and in our own quietude, that might open up to a new word or a new way of living in service, an ancient word of love, of hope active between us and among us, hope that holds our dreams and carries us. Even as the leaves were falling here last week and a wind came through and cleared off a lot of them, and now just last night we had snow, much of which is left, sublimated, melted. It will return, and other things will too that will confuse us, beguile us, lead us to worry and care. And then we pause for a moment. We accept the invitation of silence. We listen. We have new hope. And hearing, we believe in the one who holds us and listens to us. And we begin to listen to each other again. Blessings and love to you now and to your whole family and all around you, that through this autumn time, when there's a quietude that comes on the land, it might also embrace our hearts, not to still or settle them in a non-active way, but to bring stillness and settle the jangledness so that we lively and lovingly can re-engage the world. Blessings, my sisters and brothers. Namaste. Peace this day.